Welcome to Elevation 740. I'm Linnea Noreen, your host, and today I have Dustin Johnson, the Public Works Director for the City of Lewiston. Welcome, Dustin.
Thank you.
So, inquiring minds want to know, let's go back to last summer and talk about the reservoir. Can you tell me a little bit about how that happened?
During the construction of the water plant, there was a breakdown in the communications between essentially the water system that feeds all of our pipes, and the reservoir thought it was empty. And so the pumps were turning on, and it overtopped the side. And so there's full disclosure, the reservoir is 100 years old. It's a basic bathtub. So it's what we call an earthen berm. So they dug a kind of a hole and put berms around the side, put concrete in the middle. And then over the course of, the last 100 years, they've put a roof on it and updated it as necessary. But this essentially it's still an earthen berm bathtub. And as those pumps turned on, it overtopped the bathtub and scoured away some of the support fill that is intended to hold that bathtub together. And then enough of that stuff scoured away, and the concrete wall that's holding the water in collapsed out that corner. And we lost. It was about 4 million gallons of water in there at the time, and we lost about 3 million of that going down the hill.
So it was kind of like a Hurricane Katrina on Lewiston.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was a case of talk about storms, the perfect storm of many of the safety things because of the construction of the water plant, a few other issues that were happening. They failed. We've obviously taken belt and suspenders approach to make sure something like this would never happen ever again. But it was a catastrophic failure. It was not caused by. I think a lot of people immediately think that it just happened. Like there was it was deficient in maintenance, or there was some flaw in the design. It was a circumstance of multiple events happened. We know it was a computer communication, so I can't specifically tell you all the details of how it happened. But we know it was a breakdown of communication in the system.
So basically, we have this 100-year-old structure. My guess is these berm things are not made anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
So we have this 100-year-old structure. It's operating fine. The problem is that there was a miscommunication, and the system thought that the water level was empty when it in fact was full. Then there's too much pressure on the system. We got too much water.
Yep.
It kind of implodes.
Yep.
Got it.
And that's exactly what happened.
Okay. So I'm curious, the second big question that I think, at least I have, I'm assuming other people have, is we switched from a form of government to this strong mayor system. And I'm curious what the changes have been and what you've seen and how's that going?
There's two popular styles of government for cities across the United States. One is a strong mayor, where you have an elected administrator who is the point person who participates not only with the city council, but also with staff. And so he is the boss, or they are the boss. Could be a female. Is the boss, versus a city manager form of government, where you have a city council that has one employee, and that one employee is the city manager. The city manager then oversees the entire city. That the city manager is not an elected official, typically a professional. That's what they do. They've gone to school to become an administrator. They have a background in civic government. They're both popular. I think there is more in the United States overall, more city manager forms of government for cities, but that's not to say that it isn't a strong mayor. It's very
so it's not like
either.
one is better than the other. It's just a choice.
It depends. Like in anything in the world, if you have a city council, a mayor, a city manager, if you have a strong leader who has good vision and can articulate his vision to the people working around him, they're going to be successful. If you have a person who can't do that, you might not be as successful. So the form of government changed. We had a council that we had one holdover. And so that institutional knowledge, we lost a city manager, we lost 6 councilors, we have a new mayor. The new mayor was somebody who had worked for the city before as the sanitation manager, had served in the Senate in Boise, and is somebody who is more than qualified to be a mayor. And so we've had our hiccups as we've gone through, because it's a new form of government, new council.
Right.
I kind of learning staff. We've never operated underneath this form of government before, so everybody's learning along the way. But what are we now? 3 years into it, I think
Okay.
we've got our legs under us, and the council has kind of picked up and understanding better the process and their role. I think we're moving in a direction that's positive.
So do you have any examples of what some of these changes have been that you've been seeing now?
Yeah, I think it boils down to, the mayor is somebody who reports to the electorate. So his constituents, his bosses are the taxpayers, the voters of Lewiston. Whereas a city manager, he reports to a city council.
He's accountable then to the people
Yes.
as opposed to somebody who is accountable just to city council.
Yes.
Big
Yes.
difference.
Yeah. And so a
Right.
case would be right now we have water intake on the Clearwater that we've been struggling with. That went in with the levees. So dates back to the 70s. It's never
Water intake meaning that, or like our drinking water.
our drinking water. Yeah.
Okay.
And so this dates back to the 70s when they put the levees in. It's never operated correctly.
And now this strong mayor wants to fix it.
Yeah.
Another question that I have is I've been hearing recently a lot about the 2018 strategic plan. So can you tell me what was approved in that plan that maybe people forgot or don't know about? What was that all about?
Yeah, so there's the strategic plan that was started by the old city manager and adopted by the old city council. Basically, what that strategic plan was, it was the guiding document for the city. I mean, we know what the city, we're police, we're fire, we're public works, we provide these services, but what does that actually mean? What are you striving for? What can you see as a necessity in the future budget or the current budget? What are your goals? And so that's what it was the goal setting document for the city.
So those sorts of things have actually been part of the strategic plan, and you guys have been implementing this
Yep.
now
Yep.
over time.
Yep.
Okay.
And so those are the things that, they're done. Everything except for the water intake, but it was great to go through this. We did a 2023 update to kind of finish it off. We're pushing it through to this year, and then we're going to start a whole new strategic plan in 2025. And look at this document, and Public Works was a giant spreadsheet of 3 pages of all these little check boxes that needed to be done. And now you look, and I would say 75% of those or 85% of those are done, which is
So
great.
what are some of the things that are not done?
Yeah, a lot of those things. One would be two-way traffic in Main Street, downtown, a lot of the transportation things.
Two-way traffic is part of the strategic plan from several years ago?
Yes. This is dovetailed into a downtown master plan that was done about the same time. There's no projects I want to force down on anybody, but if the people say that's a priority, put it on a strategic plan or a master plan, and we'll move forward on it.
So what are the advantages then of the two-way traffic?
The two-way traffic is safer. There's a few intersections, and if you're trying to cross, it happens all of the time where you have one car in the right lane that sees the pedestrian and they stop, but the car on the left lane, they can't see the pedestrian.
Oh, right.
And so they're thinking that person's stopping to let somebody out, or they're going to park, or they're just taking a nap, and the car in the left lane keeps going. And it happens daily where
Right.
there's
Okay.
a pedestrian that comes out one lane and then stops because the car in the left lane didn't see them.
I've been noticing it since coming in. So like if you're going to Brackenberry Square from our chamber office, you look both ways and you make sure that first car is stopped. But you're right. You then have to look both ways a second time for the second lane. And then you got to look both ways for there's multiple lanes that you have to make sure are actually stopping for you. So that's obviously then a concern.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then the flow of traffic that downtowns thrive off of people looking. You want traffic, whether it's pedestrian, bike, vehicle, whatever traffic, you want them to want to be there. You don't want downtown to be a bypass. We have a bypass. So if you...
We basically then have 2 bypasses.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so the intent is, we don't want it to be convenient to buzz through downtown. And this is coming directly from the master plan, that the property owners want you to feel safe. They want you to feel, I can pull over here. I can go have a sandwich. I can have a cup of coffee, or I can shop downtown without feeling I got to look 4 times to cross the street. I got to, make sure I'm keeping up with the flow of traffic because people are going to blow past me. And there's just this general harmony that functions in a two-way street that people just understand this is how it's going to function.
So then can I ask you then about that? So I've been hearing about this water main thing.
Yeah.
So we've got federal funding in order to replace our water main. Tell
Yeah.
me about this.
Okay. So, it's the ARPA dollars, America Recovery. I'm not sure what the federal acronym is, but during COVID, cities, counties, local governments received, based off their population. I think the cities Lewiston received somewhere, but I think it was $5 or $6 million. And at that
A
time,
lot of money.
it is a lot of money, and especially for some of our infrastructure that we've already been talking about that can use an influx of cash.
Because let me guess, our water main is also probably really old.
Yeah, it's the water line actually is older than the reservoir. City of Lewiston said our priority is the water mains of downtown.
Okay.
1909 construction is a lot of how old this stuff is, and so they said we want to invest in it. And so over since whenever that was, 2021, we've constructed basically everything from Locomotive Park to 9th Street.
Okay.
It's been
So that's been the tearing up the street project.
Yep,
It's
and
been updating the water main.
And
Okay.
I think anybody who asked me, I said it's been a challenging project. It has not gone as smoothly as I would want it to because of contractor issues and contract and availability of materials, all kinds of different problems. We're done with that. I mean, it's that project. We have new water lines, so that's great. And so we're maybe 60% done, empty of, we spent, $3 to $4 million of those funds. Now it's time to finish the job. And so we have this ARPA money that, to complete the water line from 9th to essentially 1st.
Okay.
And connect, there's some pretty significant users, the hotel, potentially Twin City Foods, some other localized development that could utilize this, higher water pressure.
So, okay. So just to make sure I'm saying, so this is just a water line. What about the sewer line?
Yeah. So
Is that a different thing?
That's a different thing. So
Okay.
essentially, Lewiston, where you and I are sitting right now, is the oldest part of town. And so as Lewiston grew, it just went, it like a ripple in a water. That's where we grew. And so all of our infrastructure comes through downtown. If it's water, if it's sewer, if it's streets, if it's commerce, if it's local government, everything ends up down here. There's two different main lines. One goes down Snake River and one comes kind of meandering down the other east side of East Main, but all end up downtown.
So we're going to have to do something about this sewer line at some point as well.
Yes. And, these
Okay.
sewer lines these were built in the 30s. So newer clay lines,
That's like 90-year-old as opposed to a 100-year-old.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. Yeah. But they're at capacity because they were designed and built to serve a city that was probably 10,000 people or less at that point. And now they're servicing 35, 40,000 people. So you can imagine the flows on these are tremendous.
So it sounds like we might need you to come back to explain a little bit more.
Oh, I would love to.
Well, this has been so interesting. I feel like I've learned so much. I had no idea. Is there anything else that you wanted to add or tell our viewers about?
Not really. I mean, other than there's a lot of information available. There's the Reimagine Downtown. You just Google it or find. There's
I have been
links
hearing
on
about that too.
our website, cityoflewiston.org. There's always a lot of information available right on the front page where you can click your way through whatever projects you want to learn about, because there are a lot of projects being in design and moving forward in construction. So,
And my guess is you want citizens to be involved.
that is our number one goal right now as we move forward. It's particularly downtown, but also we've got a lot of stuff going on up in the orchards. We want to get the feedback. I want to hear back from people because there's an exchange of ideas, and maybe I have a perspective that they hadn't thought about, or they have a perspective that I haven't thought about. So that's the best part of my job, is I get to interact with the public and hear their ideas. And as I said, there's nothing I want to build. I don't want to build anything that they don't want.
Well, thank you for saying that. And thank you so much for coming. It was really, really great to have you today. Thank you for watching Elevation 740, and we'll see you again next time.